This is the Poco F7 Pro, the brand's flagship, a very complete phone in the segment. In this video, I'll share my first impressions after testing it for a week before its release. I've been one of the first to try it. I've been testing it for a few days, taking photos and videos outdoors to see how the screen performs under sunlight. And, as I tell you, this video is going to be a first impressions of this Poco F7 Pro. Let's start with the aesthetic section, and I want you to pay close attention to the screen. We are going to have a screen with Corning Gorilla Glass 7 protection, which offers us one of the highest protections on the market, plus dust and water resistance with IPX68. Then, the side frames are going to be made of metal with a volume start button on the right side at the bottom. Speaker, 90-watt USB-C charging port, and micro secure digital and subscriber identity module card, slot or tray. Then we don't find anything else in the rest and on the back. We are going to have two textures, a matte texture on this bottom part, along with the Poco logo, and on the top part. The camera module will be enclosed by this texture, which is shinier. We are going to have two cameras, a main one of 50 megapixels, and then another wide-angle one of 8 megapixels. On the right, we are going to have the flash. In summary, I always tell you that there are few phones that I really like. In fact, this one is very similar in terms of grip and absolutely everything size to my iPhone 15 Pro Max. And they seem to me, well, those phones that have the perfect dimensions. This mobile has a minimalist, simple, and super functional design without being extravagant. In addition, the qualities, when we pick it up, the feeling in the hand is of a very premium phone. Let's delve a little deeper into the screen. We have a screen with a size of 6.67 inches. At 120 Hz, we'll experience significant visual fluidity, particularly when scrolling or gaming. More on that later. And with a 2K resolution. However, here I want to delve into the fact that you have to activate the 2K resolution in the phone settings by default. It comes in 1080p to save battery, which isn't a bad thing because the screen already looks very good at that resolution. If you want that extra feature, remember to activate it in the phone settings. On the other hand, it offers us 3200 nits of peak brightness. And we also have an on-screen fingerprint sensor that surprised me because they call it ultrasonic. And it really is like that. You put your finger and it's instantly unlocked. It works very, very well. By the way, did I forget to mention that this screen is organic light emitting diode? So the blacks are going to be super contrasted. And it's going to give us a lot of clarity and very contrasted and beautiful images. Let's talk about performance. In this case, we have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, one of the high-end processors from the Snapdragon brand, and in this case, it moves the phone with total ease. We can't find any fault with it. I've been playing games of different kinds at 120 Hz in 2000 with the graphics at maximum, and they work very, very well. Accompanying this processor, we have a DR5 XRAM of 12 GB of RAM. We don't have more versions, just 12 GB of RAM. Then we'll have storage of 256 or 512 GB. In these two versions that I mentioned, moreover, the storage is UFS 4.1, which makes it especially fast, but this, in the end, practically doesn't matter to end users. Because what we all need to know is that we can record videos in 4000, which in the end is what requires the most storage, the fastest storage. And this goes with total fluidity. So, nothing more to say. The only thing for the games, we are going to have liquid cooling, and we are also going to have the wild boost. Optimization 4.0, which, well, is an optimization that does little by software that works especially well to prioritize games. The 120 Hz of screen. But let's sit down for a moment and I'll show you how this mobile works with game. I want to show you a bit how this phone is handled. As you are seeing, for example, these Google suggestions load very smoothly. And if we go to any page, well, you are seeing that it loads super fast. Also, the 120 Hz, what do they notice? Well, for example, when we do this kind of scroll, I am noticing it. You guys, maybe not through the screen, but this is seen with a lot of fluidity. Then, for example, we want to go to Google Maps and search for our favorite city. You'll notice the satellite mode loads quickly. Similarly, if we switch to Street View, it's just as fast. It loads very smoothly and we can move quickly through any menu. In the same way, well, I don't know. If, for example, we want to open YouTube in a moment, we are going to have all kinds of videos available. In the end, general performance was superb. To further test it, we tried games like PUBG to see what we would find. The first thing, which is highly recommended, is to activate the Wild Boost mode, because this is going to make the phone assign resources in a balanced way. In addition, in custom graphics, we are going to set it to high dynamic range and that the frame rate is extreme, so that it loads as many frames per second as possible. Well, I don't know if you're appreciating it, but now the image looks super beautiful and we're still at 60-80 frames per second. The phone can handle more as evidenced by the consistent frame rate when lowered. The limitation likely lies within the game itself, which is already apparent. They are games that it moves without any kind of problem, even in the highest graphic settings. And more basic games, like for example Angry Birds, well, as it could not be otherwise, they work with total fluidity. As for the operating system, let me tell you that HyperOS 2.0 barely layers this mobile with Android. 15 is a customization layer that generally, well, it increasingly resembles something native to Android. It does maintain customization. For example, with the application icons or with some things like the control bar or the notification bar. Well, they are different in native Android. However, we have this application drawer that I quite like. It doesn't add all the applications on screen every time we download them. And then, something I don't like is that it comes with many pre-installed applications, some of which may be useful, but these games, for example, I'm never going to use them. As a plus, I should mention that the phone comes with 4 years of operating system updates and 6 years of security patches. Let's briefly discuss the cameras. I'll keep it simple and show you some examples. We have a previously mentioned camera module that slightly protrudes from the back. It houses 2 cameras, the main one of 50 megapixels, which usually takes photos of 12 megapixels. And we must activate a special mode for it to take these photos with higher resolution. This is so that the photos in general take up less space, and those that are more special, we mark them ourselves. The camera I like has excellent colors and resolution, especially with the 50 megapixels activated, producing incredibly sharp photos. To put a downside, the 0.6 camera or the wide angle, it is true that with 8 megapixels it falls a bit short. Moreover, it's not just the resolution, but also the feeling of the photo. It's like it still has a watercolor effect, something typical from a few years ago. Truth is, I don't know why these low resolution cameras are so expensive, but it's a common trend. However, well, hey, they serve us when we take a group photo or have to take a photo at a very short distance. We need that wide angle. In short, I really like the main camera, and it also records video in 4000 at 30 frames. Well, I will leave you some examples so you can see it. As I said, I liked it a lot. It competes with my iPhone under very good lighting conditions. At night it loses a bit, but we still maintain decent photos. For example, we will now continue recording the video with this Poco F7 Pro. And this would be the quality that it would offer us here. Tucked among trees at sunset, there is already little light, so you can see how it performs. In addition, the audio is being recorded purely with the phone itself. So you can also see a bit of the comparison with the lavalier microphone that I usually wear. And I know it's not especially relevant, but this is how the front camera records. All that's left to discuss is the battery. In this case, as I've told you, we have the Poco F7 Pro, but there's also an Ultra version. And it's interesting because this Poco F7 Pro is going to have a capacity of 6000 mAh, while the Ultra has a bit less. Well, what does this all boil down to? Mainly, if we want to take care of the battery, I would activate the charge limit at 80%. And it's going to last us perfectly a day or even a little bit more. But if we charge the phone to 100%, we're going to have almost 2 days of duration with one use. On the other hand, this Pro model has 90 W of charge, which is more than enough for me. Because if we plan to charge the phone overnight and it's going to last us all day, then we don't need a faster charge. However, you should know that, for example, the Ultra version does have a small difference, and it has 120 watts of power. In summary, this battery meets user expectations exceptionally well, allowing you to get through the day even with very heavy use. In conclusion, I believe this Poco F7 Pro is a very relevant phone in the mid to high range. It's a phone that holds its own in all aspects, and that, above all, stands out in performance and display. The Poco F7 Pro offers a complete experience with its durable processor, organic light emitting diode screen, 120 Hz refresh rate, and 2000 other features. I still don't know its price because I'm testing this phone a couple of weeks before it goes on sale, and they haven't given it to us yet. But I will leave it here on screen, and I will also leave in the description the website so you can snoop a little more features. Check the phone's actual cost as I'm still unsure. If you enjoyed the video, remember to like and comment with any questions. See you next time. Goodbye.